Hey, it's another fun episode of Let's Go Over PSSA Power 73. Anyway, I know that's not that fun, but you should already have this done, and make sure you are making corrections and learning from your mistakes. So let us start with the first one. It says, which equation could be used to solve the values in the table below? Remember, if you have an equation in a function table like this, you always start with y equals. Now, I'm looking for simple multiplication or division rules first, so I see 1 plus 1 is 2, 2 plus 1 is 3, so that's not going to work. 1 times 2 is 2, 2 times 2 is 5, so that's not going to work. So that means it's going to be one of the more complicated functions. That also means I can get rid of a simple multiplication and a simple addition rule. It's either going to be B or C. Now you could just test those out by plugging in the x value and seeing if you get the y value, but it's more fun to come up with it this way. Now remember, to figure out what we're multiplying x by, you've got to skip count going down the y values. And I see as I go down the y values, they increase by 3. 2 plus 3 is 5, plus 3 is 8, plus 3 is 11. So that means when I start with my equation, it's going to be y equals 3 times x. Now that's only going to get me half of the equation, and you actually see both of them have that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply each of my x's by 3. And that will get me halfway through, and I'm going to write those numbers down. So 1 times 3 is 3, 2 times 3 is 6, 3 times 3 is 9, and 4 times 3 is 12. Now the question is, how do you get the rest of the way from the halfway point to the y? So I see to go from 3 to 2, you subtract 1. 6 minus 1 is 5, 9 minus 1 is 8, 12 minus 1 is 11. So that means your equation is y equals 3x minus 1, which is C. If you had it, give yourself a big fat C. If not, leave yourself a note so you get it right tomorrow or whenever you do the back side of this sucker. Alright, next we've got some interquartile range, and I already have the lovely numbers in least to greatest order. Remember, interquartile range, which is IQR, sometimes abbreviated, is the third quartile minus the first quartile. So to get the quartiles, we need to split our numbers in half. I see there's 6 of them, so I'm just going to split it in half right here. So I have 3 down here and 3 up here. Now the quartiles are going to be the middle of those chunks of data. So the middle of the lower half is 25. That is Q1. The middle of the upper half is 35. That is Q3. Subtract those two numbers, you get 10, and you should have D. If you had it right, big fat C. If not, learn from your mistake as we go down to writing an expression, it looks like. So when I'm looking at the answer choices here, I see I have 2 plus x, 2 minus x, 2 times x, and 2 divided by x. So I'm doing something with 2 in this equation. So I'm going to go through and figure out what they're talking about. Let me get my highlighter ready. It says Tyler bought twice as many pencils this month as last month. So that's where the 2 comes from. Which expression could be used to find how many he bought this month if he bought x pencils last month? So here's what we know. He bought X pencils last month. I'm going to draw a bar diagram. Let me turn the pen on. So remember, this X is last month. Now it says Tyler bought twice as many pencils this month than last month. So what that means is, if I go down to my bar diagram, if this is how much he bought last month, and that means this month he bought twice as many as last month, I'm just going to draw that twice. And remember what that means as a bar diagram. I have 2 x's there, which means 2 times x, which is C. So if you had that, give yourself a C. Alright, let's move over to the last one, fractions, decimals, and percents. And it says, Milton's graduating class is 208% of Meadowbrook Christian's graduating class. Which number shows this amount as a decimal? Well, you know what? I see a percent, and we're changing it to a decimal, so I am thinking of our best friend Deep. So I have 208%. And if I'm going from percent to decimal, I move it twice to the left. So that it starts here. Twice to the left, it's going to be here between the 2 and the 0. So it should be 2.08, which is D. All right, make any corrections and leave yourself some notes on the back because that will be graded. Thanks, guys.